Hey Yolanda, hello Lana, hello Johan, hi Rashida, hi Charles, can you guys hear me? Can someone just give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me? Hi Teresa, thank you Gary. I'm a bit early, I'm just going to give everyone a chance to join. Maybe just give it another 2 or 3 minutes. I am a bit early, so apologies. Hello Mariette, hello AB, hello Jeanette, hello Ingrid, thanks Charles. I hope you're all well. Haven't spoken to you in a long time. I don't really have much to say, but I occasionally do. And that is why I am speaking to you guys tonight. Hello Andre, hello Patricia, hi Avril. Eleanor, not much. Not much. Just enjoying the World Cup at the moment. Don't know how long that's going to last though. Until we get past the pool stages, that's when the nerves are really going to start kicking in for me at least. So I'm going to have to find some calming tablets or something somewhere, because I'm not going to survive this. Hello Susan, hi Katie. Hello Monia. Guys, let me just check the time quickly. Okay, it's 1 minute to 8, so I am a bit early. I apologize. Gary, yeah, I hope so. I'm hopeful, I'm confident, I'm positive, but yeah, I hope it comes back. Ingrid, ons wag vir die invitation, nou kom ons. As jy die invite stuur, ons daar. Hallo Pietru. Yeah, unfortunately I saw a post on Facebook just now, and somebody, or it was on Network 24, where they mentioned stage 7 load shedding. Well, yeah, anyway, absolutely bloody ridiculous. Okay guys, I'm going to start. I don't want to waste your time much longer. Tonight's discussion is going to be an informal one, so I want to apologize up front if I mix my language. Afrikaans is my eerste taal. I'm going to obviously try to do it in English as I always do, but when I get excited or when I get angry or passionate about something, I tend to switch over to Afrikaans. So that might happen a few times tonight. And then I'm also there's some stuff that I'm going to read for you from notes that I have made, and then obviously from the internet as well. So if my eyes move around a lot, just please excuse me, but there are some important stuff and stats that I would like to read to you guys. So I'm sure you all saw my banner tonight. I mean, and my banners, the heading of my banners now has changed to common sense, logic, and reality. And yeah, you'll understand as when I do my live or when I discuss everything with you tonight, you will understand why that is the heading of my banners, and that will be the heading from now on going forward. The first thing that I want to speak to you about is South Africa, but from a logical point of view, because that's the way I am. I'm a logical thinker. I like to think that I have common sense, and I'm also a realist. I told someone earlier today that I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. And normally those two don't go together. Normally, when you're a realist, you tend to be a pessimist. I'm not. I'm an absolute optimist, but I'm also a realist. And for the past couple of weeks, I have been driving around thinking about, I went to the convention with Neil and Fatima, and I listened to what all the other parties were saying, and obviously I watch the news, I read the newspaper. I mean, I've been involved in the UIM for almost 3 years now. We've had so many political discussions and debates. But this week, I started asking myself some questions, and I tried to answer those questions. And I had a really tough time answering those questions. And normally when I don't understand something, it frustrates the living hell out of me. I might not agree with stuff, but when I understand stuff, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. As long as I understand you, I'm happy. I don't have to agree with you, but I have to understand. And there are certain things that I just don't understand. And I'm hoping that you guys will leave tonight just thinking about some of the things that I'm going to bring up tonight. And I wish that this message could go out to every single South African out there. I know it's impossible. We are very restricted when it comes to social media. But I'm truly hoping that this message reaches as many people as possible. So let's look at South Africa's problems. We all know what South Africans' problems are. I mean, we live it daily. We live in South Africa. We know exactly what's going on around us. But now I said on my banner, the topic of tonight is I was going to give you guys a simple reason why we have these problems. And I looked at a legal concept today, and that legal concept is called, let me just find it here quickly. It is the but-for test. Now, that is a test that they use in law to determine liability or fault, especially when crimes are committed. So how it works is basically what they will do is they will take a crime or a sequence of events that led to a certain outcome, and they will look at the one thing or the one act that they could take away that would change the whole outcome of that event or that sequence of events. So let's compare it to a chain. Let me use an example. Let's say that whole sequence of events is represented by a chain. Okay, every link is an act or action that took place or an event that took place in that whole sequence that led to a certain outcome. So for instance, let me use a stupid example. If I go out and go to a bar, get drunk, get in my car, run a red light, and end up crashing into somebody, killing that person. Let's look at that whole sequence of events. Let's pretend that that's a chain and those are links. Every single thing that I did, all my actions and everything that happened are the chains in that link, or the links in that chain, sorry. What is the earliest link that I could take out of that chain that would change the whole outcome of that whole sequence of events? Is it me running the red light? No, it's not. Because there's something I could have done earlier or not done that would have changed the outcome. Is it me getting in my car? No. Is it me having the drink? Yes. Now we're getting closer to the source of the issue. It's me having the drink, me getting drunk, or you might even go so far as to say that, you know what, it's me getting in my car and going to the bar. Because if I had stayed at home and if I hadn't gotten drunk and if I hadn't gotten into my car, I would have probably not run that red light and ended up in that car crash. So that is the link that you need to remove to change the whole sequence of events. Now let's look at South Africa's problems. South Africa, I mean, in the state that we are at the moment, let's pretend that let's look at the last 30 years as a link, as a chain, and let's look at all those links. What is the earliest link that we could take out of that chain that would change the outcome of South Africa, or South Africa's, the way South Africa is at the moment? Is it Eskom's demise? Is it any of those? No, it's not. Don't even look at Eskom. Let's go back. Is it government's fault? Is it the ANC's fault? Yeah, we're getting closer to the source of the problem. But there are things that happened even before that we could change, that would change the outcome and the whole trajectory of South Africa. That could have changed everything, could have led to a different outcome. And that earliest link is not the ANC. It's us. It's the people. We are that first link. It started with us, because we are the ones that made those crosses on those pamphlets or on those ballot papers and put them into government. If we hadn't done that, they wouldn't have assumed power and none of this would have happened. Now, I can understand things were different 30 years ago. I can understand that. Different time, different era. I totally agree with you. But I can understand if people or a party or whatever, I can understand if they make promises to the people and the people vote them in, because we don't know them. We didn't know the ANC back then. I mean, this was the first opportunity they were given to govern. So let's give them a chance. Let's see if they can fulfill their promises and their commitments to the people of South Africa. 5 years later, country's on a downhill slope, ever so slightly. But none of those promises and commitments have been met or honored. So what happens now? They ask for a second chance. I can understand if we give them a second chance, 100%. Let's give them a second chance. You know, it was trial and error. It was their first 5 years governing. Let's give them another chance. Okay. But not 6 chances. Not 30 years of this. Every year being worse than the previous year. Every year worse than the previous year. And South Africa going downhill rapidly. I mean, South Africa's decline in the last 10 years has been absolutely crazy. In fact, the last 2 years have been an absolute disaster. Yet, for the last 30 years, 6 elections, we have kept the ANC in government. Now that's where my brain starts short-circuiting, because I cannot understand that. I have some opinions and I have some theories about it, but I cannot understand that. Does that make common sense to you? It doesn't make common sense to me. I mean, why would you put your life or your lives in the hands of people that don't have your best interest at heart? Like I said, once or twice is fine. It's understandable. Unfortunately, sometimes we all learn the hard way. But when this happens time and time again and it doesn't change, why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep doing it? Now, here's another fact, obviously. You guys all know this fact. 17 million people voted in 2019. There are more people out there that are registered voters that don't vote than there are people that voted. So there are more non-voters than voters. Why are those people not voting? Because they stay in the same country as us. They pay the same price for bread. They drive on the same roads. They are all affected by crime and corruption in South Africa. They all suffer from load shedding. Why are they not voting? You see, the thing is, it's always been government's fault, let's call it that, but the primary fault has always been with us, with the people, because we have always held the power. We still hold the power. We have always held the power. The power has always been in our hands, because we get to decide who governs and who doesn't. Not the multi-party charter, not any party or individual. The people of South Africa make that choice. They get to make that choice. And every 5 years they are given an opportunity to start with a clean slate. Every 5 years we get the opportunity to start from the beginning, to change things, to correct the things that have been done wrong, or to change this country's trajectory. Every 5 years we get given that opportunity, and every 5 years we do exactly the same thing. My brain break. I don't understand that. Some argue that the majority of the people out there that don't vote, the masses, unfortunately stay in the rural areas. They are people that unfortunately have been kept in the dark by government for the last number of years. They are uneducated. They don't know better. You know, these are people that they have never had running water. They've never had electricity. They don't know what sanitation is or whatever. So why would they, I mean, if they don't receive it now, what are they going to care? They've never had it. It was promised to them, but they never received it. There are so many people in South Africa that still can't read and write, and we are supposed to be a first world country. We were a first world country, and there are millions of people, of children that can't read and write still. We still have areas that don't have running water, no sanitation. So unfortunately, there's a large portion of the population that have been kept in the dark and that have been kept to the side. And it's these people that sell their souls for a t-shirt and a cap and a sandwich. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them, because that's probably the only thing they have to look forward to is a sandwich and a cap. Because what else do they have to look forward to? You can't miss something that you don't have, or you can't miss something that you've never had. That is why the ANC in the last couple of years have been doing poorly in the metros, in the local government elections. We've actually managed to keep the ANC out of many local government elections and municipalities, and especially in the metros, because the people that live in the urban areas tend to be more educated. They know what running water is. They know what sanitation is. They know what electricity is. Their kids go to school. They don't vote for the ANC. Well, they do, some of them. But you can go and look at the stats and the figures. The ANC in the last 2 local government elections have gotten a hiding in certain metro municipalities in South Africa. Yeah, in the last one, they won, they lost in a lot of them, gained some back because of nonsense that went on in different coalitions in different municipalities. But we have shown that they can be beaten. We have shown that they can be kept out of government. We have seen that in the local government elections. So why isn't the local government elections a reflection of the national elections? Because it's completely different. You can't compare the two. So what's the difference? The difference is that the majority of the ANC's votes come from the rural areas. And the majority of the people that don't vote also stay in the rural areas. Now my question is, who's reaching out to those people? We established at the convention the multi-party charter convention that I attended. It was established that the parties that are part of that charter in total will have 30% of the votes in South Africa. If you look at the last if you look at the last national election, those parties in total have about 30% of the total votes, which means we need 20 plus 1. We need another 20% plus 1. Where are we going to get where are we going to get the 20%? We're not going to get it from disgruntled ex-ANC members. We're not going to get it from disgruntled ex-EFF. Forget it. The people that leave the ANC tend to join the EFF, or they tend to join the Patriotic Alliance, or they don't come over to the DA, they don't come over to the Freedom Front, they don't necessarily come over to the UIM, although there are some that have come over, but it's not the norm. Same with the EFF. People that leave the EFF tend to go to the ANC. Now you've got another party. You've got Ace Magashule's new party. I think Jacob Zuma has a party as well. So our salvation lies in the non-voters of South Africa. That is where we are going to get that extra 20% that we need to push us past that 50% threshold. But now what are we doing about it? That's my question. Because they are surely not going to come out in their masses and vote in 2024 if they haven't done so for the last 30 years. Somebody needs to reach out to them and speak to them, or go out there and show them that there's an alternative, show them a different lifestyle, show them what they are missing, show them what they have been missing out on for the last 30 years. Somebody needs to do that. Now here's the thing. There are a lot of parties out there that have the money, but they don't have the will. Including some of those parties that are part of the multi-party charter. Let's just call it the MPC. They've got the money, but they don't have the will. The UIM has the will. We unfortunately don't have the money. But trust me, we have the will. We are sitting with people in the UIM that phone me every single day and fight with me because they are asking me to let the dogs loose. They want to go, they want to get in their cars, they want to travel, they want to go all across South Africa, and they want to go and speak to those people. They want to go and show those people that there's an alternative. They want to go and show those people that there's an alternative to this government that we have been stuck with for the last 30 years. But we need to go. We cannot sit and wait for those people to just rock up in 2024 because they are not. Somebody needs to do something. And trust me, nobody is as willing as the UIM and the people in the UIM. We just don't have the finances. Otherwise, we would not be doing lives sitting in our houses. We would be doing lives in townships, in rural areas, on the road, in people's houses. We would be doing this every single day. And that is what we need. That is call that a reality check, if you will. We need that 20%. Yes, there are some parties that might still join the charter, but 20% is a big ask. We're already sitting with the DA, Action SA, Freedom Front Plus, IFP, and we estimated that we've got 30% of the votes in South Africa. We've got a long way to go. We can do it. 100%. I'm a realist, but I'm also an optimist. We can 100% achieve it. We have shown it. We have seen it in the local government elections. We can do it. But we are not going to do it sitting on our asses in front of the TV. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to happen. Somebody, us, we need to go and speak to those people. We need to show people that there's a whole different world opposite the train tracks or across the river. They are missing out on so much. They are missing out on so many opportunities. Their children are missing out on so many opportunities. Someone needs to show them. My question to them would be, well, you voted for the ANC. How has that benefited your life? How has that benefited you in the last 30 years or the last 5 years or the last 10 years? Please show me the benefits. Show me what they have done for you. Please. Show me the love. Show me the love that they have shown you. There is no love. No love has been shown, and nothing has been done for those people. Because those people that they vote for only care about themselves. They don't care about the people. This brings me to my next question. Do I need to remind everybody what happened in 2020 during the COVID pandemic? Yes, we don't want to continuously point out the faults of the government on this party and that. No, this is not what we want to do. But people tend to forget. People forget very easily and very quickly. Let me remind you, people. And by the way, I'm talking about South Africa now, not North Korea or Nazi Germany. I'm speaking about South Africa. We were locked up. We were locked up. We had curfews. We had to be off the street at certain hours at night and in the mornings. Otherwise, we would get arrested. We couldn't travel from province to province because we need to have documents and certificates just to cross the border. We couldn't shop where we wanted to shop. Certain items were taken off the shopping lists. We were not allowed to purchase those items. People, are you listening to what I'm saying? This actually happened. I'm sure if I told you in 2019 or 2018 that something like that was likely to happen or possible, you would have laughed at me. It happened. And we all know, I'm not even going to go into all the corruption and the nonsense and the forced vaccine. I'm not going to go into any of that nonsense. We all know what happened in 2020 and we all know what the outcomes were. I'm just talking about our freedom our freedoms that were taken away, our rights. I'm just talking about those things. What about the looting in Durban, KZN? Have we forgotten that as well? Terrible things. So many terrible things that happened in the last 5 years. Just in this term. The last 5 years. Terrible things that happened in South Africa. Now hier gaan ek weer oorslaan in Afrikaans, nee. As dit nou nie vir jou 'n wake-up call is hier, nee, dan weet ek nou wragtig nie. Then I don't know. If that doesn't wake you up, that's why I'm saying common sense, man. I mean, is it something that you're born with? I mean, I know it's something that you can't study. Is it genetic? Do you inherit it? Do some people have it and some just don't? I mean, how does it work? How does common sense work? That's common sense. You cannot vote for something like that again. We cannot go into another situation like that again. We cannot even put ourselves in that position again or even risk something like that happening again. I'm not even talking about load shedding. Last year we had something, I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, there was a banner posted about it, something like 100 and odd something full days of load shedding out of 365. And we only had stage 4 load shedding last year. Now we're sitting on stage 6. What's next? They're already talking about stage 7. Everything's collapsing. Everything's collapsing. This whole country's collapsing. I spoke to business people last week, Friday. They are very, very concerned. They are predicting that there's going to be a huge amount of people that immigrate next year. Because they are being forced to immigrate. Businesses are going to shut down. I mean, I'm not going to have a load shedding debate here tonight. But I mean, guys, it's simple. I mean, here's like, wat moet nou nog gebeur? Wat moet hulle nou nog doen? Wat moet hulle nou nog doen? So maybe this is something that this is what I have been thinking. Maybe the people that don't vote, or the people that vote for the ANC, maybe they don't have access to this info. I don't know. Maybe they don't. But maybe we need to fix that problem. Maybe we need to help them get access to this info. Because they need to see what's going on. They need to experience it. I don't know if they're not. But like I said, I mean, I discussed that portion. I'm not going to go there again. But something has to be done. Something has to be done. And we can't just rely on our supporters and, the parties. Everybody's got their constituency and blah, blah, blah. We cannot rely on that alone because we are not going to get that majority that we need. It's a simple fact. It's mathematics. We need to reach out to the masses, the people that don't vote, somehow. And all of you can make a difference. Next year when you go and vote, grab your neighbors by the hand. I mean, make it a community event. Phone them, tell them, are we going to vote? Let's go. Bring your servants, bring your domestic workers, bring your farm workers. Take all of them and their families. Tell them to bring their families and tell their families to bring their families and friends. And let's make this a group effort. Let's make this a group effort. And go to the elections and go to the ballot, the voting stations next year and change South Africa. Because like I said, people, it's very simple. It's so maklik. It's so easy. No rocket science, no degrees, nothing. Hierdie ding, kyk hierso, die ding. Hierdie dingetjie. This thing can change South Africa. This thing that I'm holding in my hand here can change everything. Can change everything. And we mustn't cry over spilt milk next year. When the elections are done, we mustn't sit there the next day or the following week or whatever and say, you know what, we should have done more. We could have done more. But you know what, don't worry, we've got another opportunity. We have another opportunity in 5 years. Really? No, we don't. Next year is the opportunity. We cannot afford to wait another 5 years. We simply can't, people. We just can't. Now's the time. Now's the time. Another question that I asked myself is, when people decide which party to vote for, what are they basing that decision on? When you pick a party, there's 500 odd parties out there. When you pick a party to vote for, what are you basing that decision on? Are you basing that decision on the party's policies or promises? I hope you're not. I hope you're not basing your decision on that. Because if you go and take every single party, if you go and take those 500 parties right now, go and download the manifestos and policy documents, etc. Go and have a look at those policies and then compare them to the other 500 parties' policies. You're going to find that everybody agrees on 90% of those policies. 90% of those policies are the same, if not more. Everybody wants to fix Eskom, stop the load shedding. Everybody wants to stop crime, corruption, fix the economy. Everybody wants to do that. Because you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know what's wrong with South Africa. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. So every party is basing their policies on that. On fixing those problems. So if you're going to vote for a party based on their promises, and okay, then is it the roll of a dice or whatever? How are you playing eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or because they all have the same policies to an extent? No. You vote for the people. You vote for the people that you want to elect to represent you, to be your voice. To be your voice in government, because that is how our election or our system works. That is how our democratic system works. The people get to vote for the people that represent them in government and in parliament. And in our case, you've got 400 people speaking on behalf and making decisions on behalf of 60 million people. So who are you going to choose to represent you? Who are you going to choose? Are you going to elect somebody to speak on your behalf? To make decisions on your behalf that don't care about you? Really? Huh? Where's your brain, man? Where's your common sense? You unfortunately don't have a voice. You can't go to parliament and cast your little vote or have an opinion. No. You pick somebody. You elect somebody to do it on your behalf. So you need to pick the right people. You need to pick the right people. And who are the right people? Are you basing... Let's look at leadership. Let's look at the leaders that you guys are going to elect. Or that you guys are going to elect to represent you. What are you looking for? Are you looking for literacy? Are you looking for how articulate they are? If they can speak perfect Oxford English? We have plenty of those, by the way. Plenty. 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 Go and do your research. Watch News 24. Open a Twitter account. There's a lot of politicians out there making very articulate, political, beautiful speeches. Beautiful speeches. Now, here's my question once again. You see, this is where the common sense thing comes in again. What has pretty or beautiful, articulate, perfect Oxford English speeches brought us in 30 years? What has it made any change to South Africa or to our lives? So what's the use? What is the use? Don't you think it's time to start electing people that care about you, number one, that are unafraid, that have courage, that are not afraid to take decisions, that are not afraid to live by or suffer the consequences of those decisions, people or leaders that won't sell you out, leaders that will fight for you no matter what until their very last breath. Because, by the way, we all have families, we all have friends, kids, moms, dads. We will never make decisions that will affect them negatively. Never. I am never going to make a decision in my life that's going to have a negative effect on any person that I care for or that I love. Never. And if I apply that principle, everyone else will reap the benefits of it. Because every person in South Africa suffers under an incompetent, corrupt government, but every South African flourishes under a competent one. Every single South African. So people, when you choose your parties and when you choose your leadership, remember, you're not just picking a party and wearing a cute t-shirt and a cap. You are electing somebody to go to parliament to make decisions on your behalf. So you better make sure that you make the right decisions, because those people are going to speak on your behalf. So make sure you vote for people, leaders and parties that don't eventually go and side with the enemy and form coalitions with them, because then you might as well just vote for the enemy. Save yourself the time and the hassle and the effort and just vote for the enemy, whoever they are. Because voting for a party that sides with them is the same thing. So pick your leaders wisely. Pick your leaders wisely. It's important. It's very important. Do your research. Do proper research. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself now. I want to compare this to having a boxing coach. I mean, would you rather have a boxing coach that cares about you as a fighter? Let's use an example. I would much rather have a coach that maybe has less knowledge about the sport and is not as experienced as another trainer or whatever, but one that is willing to throw the towel in if I'm getting a beating in the ring, and if my life depends on it, or my future or my career. I would rather have a coach in my corner that's willing to throw in the towel. Or would you rather have a coach that has more skill, more knowledge, more experience, but doesn't care about you? Doesn't care whether or not you take a beating or not. And while you're in the ring, they're busy getting the hiding of your life or the beating of your life, is unwilling to throw the towel in and save his fighter. We place too much emphasis on the wrong things, on the wrong principles. We need to start appreciating values and principles again, and people that have those values and principles, because there are a lot of skillful people out there. There are a lot of people out there with experience. There are a lot of people out there with way more political knowledge and experience than us. Way more. But the qualities I look for in leaders and people are very hard to find these days, and that's loyalty, integrity, courage. Those are not things you find every day. It's not. So when you come across people that have those qualities, support them and appreciate them, because those are your leaders. I wanted to quickly speak about the Bela Bill. I don't want to go into details about the Bela Bill. They are proposing some ridiculous amendments to that bill, just off the top of my head. I mean, they want to make it compulsory for your kids to go to school, and they want to imprison you if you don't send them. They want to make grade R compulsory, but at the same time they want to sell alcohol at the schools or at religious events at schools. I mean, verstaan julle, this malligheid is crazy. Mense sien. And now the only issue is they are posting these bills or advertising them for public participation. Now here's feeling nog a wake-up call. Government doesn't care. They don't care about your opinion. How many bills have the people of South Africa successfully stopped through the public participation process? And mind you, not a lot of people participate in this, unfortunately. It's a fact. I don't know why, but it's one of those, it's another one of those questions that I'm trying to find the answers for. But regardless, how many bills have they successfully stopped? Please help me, anybody, because I can't think of any. Because they don't care about your opinion. Because they don't care about you. Simple. So I'm not going to go into the details of that bill. There's a number of bills out there currently up for public debate that's being discussed in Parliament that they are proposing and that they want to implement. They have already enacted some of those bills. I mean, it's so ridiculous, some of these bills. I mean, you know what they are. I mean, So much for equality and non-discrimination and all that nonsense in South Africa. That doesn't really seem to exist anymore. Yet those are rights enshrined in our constitution. So julle verstaan dit raak bietjie chaoties nou. It's a circus. It's a circus and we need to change it. We need to fix it. We need to make a plan quickly. Change it next year. We cannot go on much longer the way we are. We have to change it, and we can change it. Next year, we are planning a national roadshow, the UIM. We are trying to raise funds for it. We want to visit every single province in South Africa, similar to the one that we did in 2021. We went on a national roadshow in 2021. We didn't visit many towns, many cities, but that visit was probably one of the biggest contributing factors to our success in 2021 in the local government elections. We are planning to go on a similar trip, but what we want to do is we want to tackle each province, spend a week in that province, visit 5 towns every single day. So we're going to drive from town to town and do a 1 to 2 hour stopover in every single town, do a Facebook Live, make social media content, speak to the people in the streets and the passers-by, and then move on to the next town. And every time we are going to announce, we are going to advertise our location and where we're heading from town to town. We're going to keep you guys updated. It's going to be like a reality show. You guys are going to be with us every step of the way. We want to visit 5 towns every single day and then spend a night in 5 different towns or 6 or 7 different towns over the course of a week, and then do a public speaking event in each town. I've already got a blueprint, or there's already been a logistics plan drafted by Roxy, one of our UIM members. We've already worked out a plan. All we need now is the funds. We just need the money. We are estimating that it's going to cost us 300,000+ rand. That is for a company of 4 to 5 to travel in a Mercedes Sprinter or whatever. And that is a 45 to 60 day road tour. So we're going to probably spend the whole March and the whole April on the road, visiting every single province in South Africa, 5 towns or 5 cities per day, and spend a night at a different city every day. That is our campaign plan. That is our campaign for 2024. We are not, unless we, by some miracle, which do exist, we get money and lots of it. Unless that happens, we are not going to have money for posters and money for t-shirts that we can just throw around and put up everywhere. But here's hoping that will change, and here's trusting that it will change. But first priority for us is to do that national roadshow. So we need you to please help us. We are speaking to some business people. We are speaking to people that have shown an interest in funding us. It's going to take a lot of money, but we are working on it. But we also need your support. Even if you don't want to contribute, put us into contact with people that are willing to help us. Please, please, we want to do this roadshow. This is our last crack at it that we're going to do next year. We are really banking on this national roadshow to get as many people, to do well in the 2024 elections. Because I think you need more leaders like the ones that we have in the UIM. This is what South Africa needs now. South Africa doesn't need politicians with perfect Oxford English. No, South Africa needs passionate people that sometimes use foul language, unfortunately, because we are passionate. We're not a bunch of pushovers. We need leaders that don't take nonsense, that are unafraid, that are not cowards, that will not run away. That's what we need. That's what South Africa needs. We have had a lot of the other sort for the last 30 years. We don't need that anymore. So guys, that's all I wanted to say. Excuse my foul language if I used any. I'm just getting, ek raak ook gatvol, sorry. Afrikaans weer. And yeah, I'm just, my brain is suffering as a result of it, because there's just some of these questions that absolutely don't make sense to me. Maybe you guys can make some sense out of it. We are going to try and find solutions and answers wherever we can. But one thing that I know, and that I know for certain, is the things that I told you guys tonight. And that is that it is going to require a special effort from not only the UIM, but every person in South Africa and all the other parties that are with us in that MPC, multi-party charter. Hey, you got it right. It's going to take a massive collective effort from everybody, and it's going to take your support, finances if we can get some, so that we can go out and do what we want to do. But it's an absolutely achievable goal. 100%. No doubt whatsoever. And we have seen it. There's proof of it. We have seen it in the local government elections. We have seen it in the big metros. The ANC can be defeated. No doubts. No doubts. So, stay positive, people. Thank you for your support. We are not going to stop fighting. We are not resting. Ons raak frustreerd. Ons slaap min. Ons werk hard. We will rest after 2024. Have a great night. Thanks for joining, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.